The people who told me I would die before them are all gone now. I don't say that to feel superior. I say it because it still doesn't make sense to me. They were careful. They counted. They measured. They did everything right. And I'm the one still here. 105 years old, sitting in a body that should have quit decades ago, and I don't have the answer everyone wants. People ask me what I eat. They want a list. They want 7 things they can buy tomorrow and feel safe, and I'll give it to them. But first, I need to tell you something that will be harder to hear than any list. The foods that kept me alive are not the reason I'm still alive. I was 23 when I started eating differently, not because I wanted to live longer. I didn't think about living longer. No one at 23 thinks about living longer. I changed the way I ate because I was poor. I was poor and tired, and I didn't have the energy to eat complicated things anymore. So I simplified. I stopped chasing what tasted exciting and started eating what made me feel steady. That was it. That was the whole beginning. There was no revelation, no book, no expert, just a quiet exhaustion that made me reach for simpler things. The first food was olive oil. I didn't know anything about it except that it tasted like home. My grandmother poured it over everything: bread, tomatoes, beans, eggs. She never explained why. She never said it was good for me. She just poured, and I poured too because that's what I knew. I didn't learn until much later that olive oil protects things inside of you that you can't see: your heart, your vessels, your thoughts. But I didn't eat it for that. I ate it because it reminded me of her hands, of mornings I couldn't get back. Maybe that's what kept me alive, not the oil. The memory. The second food was dark leafy greens. I'm not going to tell you which ones because it doesn't matter. Whatever is green and grows from the ground and hasn't been touched too much. That's the only rule I had. I didn't weigh them. I didn't count servings. I just ate greens at almost every meal because they were cheap and they filled me without making me heavy. And because when I ate them, I could feel my body getting quieter. My stomach didn't fight me. My mind didn't race after meals. I felt like my body was working with me instead of against me. I didn't understand science. I still don't, but I understood how I felt. And for me, that was always enough. The third food was fish, small fish, sardines mostly. I know people don't want to hear that. I know sardines aren't beautiful. They don't look like a long life, but they gave me something that nothing else gave me: a calm I couldn't explain. My joints didn't ache as early as others. My mood didn't swing as wildly. My brain felt present. I ate sardines 2 or 3 times a week for 70 years, sometimes from a tin, sometimes grilled with salt. It didn't matter how. It only mattered that I kept doing it, and I kept doing it because it was easy. That's the part no one wants to accept. The things that keep you alive aren't impressive. They're just easy enough to keep doing forever. The fourth food was beans. Any beans: lentils, chickpeas, black beans, white beans. I ate beans when I had no money. I ate beans when I had plenty. I never stopped eating beans because they never stopped making me feel strong. Beans were my foundation. Not protein powders, not supplements. Beans. My mother used to say that beans were the poor man's meat, but I lived longer than anyone I knew who could afford meat every night. So maybe being poor wasn't the disadvantage I thought it was. Maybe eating simply was the advantage no one told me about. The fifth food was garlic. This one I can't explain. I don't know what garlic does. I only know that when I eat it, I feel like something in me is being cleaned, something invisible. My grandmother used to crush garlic into warm water and drink it when she felt weak. I thought she was strange. I thought it was old thinking. But I'm 105 and I've been eating raw garlic for most of my life, so who am I to argue with old thinking? Sometimes the people who didn't have answers were the ones who lived the longest. They didn't know why. They just did. The sixth food was nuts, a handful a day, almonds mostly. Sometimes walnuts. I didn't snack on much else. I wasn't hungry between meals because my meals were filling and slow. But when I did get hungry, I reached for nuts. They gave me something quick, something grounding. I never felt shaky when I ate nuts throughout the day. I never felt desperate for sugar. I never understood people who said they couldn't control their hunger. I just ate things that kept me steady. And I never had to fight. The seventh food was fruit, not juice, not dried, just fruit. Whole in my hand, eaten slowly. Berries, apples, oranges, figs, whatever was nearby, whatever was ripe. I didn't overthink it. I just ate fruit when I wanted something sweet. And because I ate fruit, I never wanted the other things, the cakes, the pastries, the things that made everyone around me feel good for a moment and tired for hours. I didn't avoid them because I was strong. I avoided them because I wasn't hungry for them. When you eat what your body actually needs, you stop craving what it doesn't. That's not discipline, that's just balance. So there it is. 7 foods, nothing special, nothing rare, nothing expensive: olive oil, greens, small fish, beans, garlic, nuts, fruit. That's what I've eaten most days for more than 70 years. And now you're waiting for the secret. The real reason, the thing that made the difference. I've been waiting to tell you. The people I grew up with knew what to eat. They weren't ignorant. They weren't reckless. They read the same things I read. They had the same access to food I had. Some of them ate better than me, cleaner, more carefully. They measured. They restricted. They followed plans. And they're gone. Not all of them, but too many of them. And for years I didn't understand. I thought maybe I was lucky. I thought maybe my body was different. But now I think I finally understand what it was. And it wasn't the food. The people who died young were in a hurry, not always in their body, but in their minds. They ate quickly. They finished meals without remembering them. They looked at their plates like obstacles. They chewed while planning. They swallowed while worrying. They fed their bodies while starving their presence. They weren't eating, they were completing tasks. I watched my brother eat perfectly for 30 years. He avoided salt, he avoided fat, he weighed his portions, he read labels like contracts, but he ate alone most nights. He ate standing up. He ate in silence that wasn't peaceful, it was heavy. He didn't enjoy food, he used it, and when he died at 71, everyone said it was too soon. And I agreed, but I also knew. I knew that something had been missing for a long time. Not a nutrient, not a vitamin, something else. I was never disciplined about food. I was only consistent. There's a difference. Discipline feels like war. Consistency just feels like rhythm. I didn't fight my body. I didn't count what I ate. I didn't fear what would happen if I made a mistake. I just kept coming back to the same simple things because they asked nothing from me except to be present. I ate slowly, not because I read about it, because I had nothing to rush toward. I didn't eat in front of screens because there were no screens. And even when there were, I didn't want them near my food. Food was the only time I asked nothing of myself, the only time I sat without solving, the only time I tasted being alive instead of proving I deserve to be. I think that's what keeps a body going. Not just what you put into it, but how much of you is present when you do. I've outlived my wife by 22 years now. I've outlived my son by 12. I don't tell you that because I'm proud. I tell you that because I know something most people don't get to know. I know what it looks like when someone runs out of time. Not suddenly, slowly, in small ways they can't see. My son exercised. He ate well. He took care of his body like it was a machine. But he didn't take care of his hours. He rushed through dinners. He skipped breakfast. He worked through lunches. He told me once that he didn't have time to sit down for meals. And I didn't say anything because I thought he knew something I didn't. He was smarter than me, more successful than me, more modern than me. But he didn't understand that time is only valuable if you spend it slowly. I was in my 80s when I finally understood why I was still alive. And it wasn't the food. The food was just the vehicle. The real reason was that I never ate in a hurry. I never saw eating as separate from living. I never saw meals as pauses between more important things. Meals were the most important thing because meals were when I stopped, when I looked at my wife, when I laughed with my children, when I sat with myself in the quiet. The foods kept my body working, but the slowness kept something else working, something I don't have a name for, something that makes you want to keep waking up. People ask me what the secret to a long life is, and I used to say I didn't know. Now I say this: stop asking what to eat. Start asking how you eat. Start asking who you eat with. Start asking if you taste anything anymore. Because if you're eating perfectly but you're not there when you eat, your body knows. Your body always knows. I've lived 105 years. I've buried almost everyone I loved. I've sat at a table alone more times than I can count. And still I pour olive oil over bread. Still I chew slowly. Still I taste every bite like it might be my last. Not because I'm afraid of dying, because I finally understand what living actually requires. It requires you to stop. It requires you to notice. It requires you to stop treating meals like inconveniences and start treating them like gifts. The 7 foods are real. They work. They've kept my blood clean, my bones strong, my mind clear. But they wouldn't have worked if I ate them in a rush. They wouldn't have worked if I swallowed them with stress. They wouldn't have worked if I spent 80 years eating without being present. Food doesn't save you. Presence does. Food just gives presence something to work with. You're going to close this and think about what to buy at the store. That's fine. Buy the olive oil, buy the sardines, buy the greens and the beans and the garlic. But when you eat them, sit down, put everything else away. Look at your plate, look at the person across from you, if there is one. And if there isn't, look at yourself. Taste the life you're still in the middle of. That's the only advice I have. That's the only secret there ever was. I'm 105 years old. I've eaten simply. I've moved slowly. I've outlived people who should have outlived me. And the only reason I can think of is this: I never stopped arriving at the table, even when everyone else left, even when the chairs emptied one by one. I kept sitting, I kept eating, I kept tasting what was still here. You still have time to do the same, but not as much as you think. No one ever thinks they're in a hurry until they run out of road. Sit down tonight, eat something simple, and stay there a little longer than you need to. That's how you begin. That's how I'm still here. I don't know how many meals I have left. I don't count them. I just try to be there for each one. And when the last one comes, I hope I'm sitting down. I hope I'm tasting something good. I hope I'm not in a hurry. That's all I ever wanted. A slow ending to a slow life. I think I might get it. Silence, full video, package. YouTube video description. At 105 years old, I've been asked 1,000 times what I eat. People want a list. They want answers. They want something to buy tomorrow that will make them feel safe. So I gave them the 7 foods. But I also gave them the truth no one wants to hear. The food isn't the reason I'm still alive. This is a quiet confession about what actually keeps a body going when everything says it should stop. It's about meals I remember and meals I don't. About people who ate perfectly and still left too soon. About what happens when you feed a body but starve your presence. If you're looking for health advice, you'll find it here. But if you stay until the end, you might find something you weren't looking for. Something about time. Something about how little of it we have. Something you might still be able to change.